Good evening and welcome everybody to another edition of the Music and Mixing Show. I am your host, DJ Michael Joseph, and I hope you're doing well. Danny D in the chat from Maryland was the first one in tonight. How you doing, Danny? Denny with an E, not an A. I apologize. We have a very good show tonight. I'm hoping that we get a bunch of people jump on. Last week we had a slow start and lots of people that came in later, so that's good. John Colley, what's going on? How are you doing? He's up there in Boston. I have new gear to show you tonight. Todd is Steep, what's going on? Believe it or not, yes, I did receive new gear. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some changes to the show that are starting tonight that you guys get to be a part of, and I'm kind of excited about it. Lewis, what's going on? How are you? Welcome to the show. John Jazz, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well. Like I said, new stuff to the show tonight that you guys get to be a part of for the first time. We're expanding this in a little different way, hoping to get some more people. So, Fly Robin, what's going on down in Florida? Lewis is from Massachusetts. If you've never watched the show before, we take a couple minutes at the top of the hour. I know most shows don't really like to jump straight in, but I like to take a couple minutes at the top of the hour and welcome people in because we tend to get a lot of viewers from around the world, and I like to acknowledge them for tuning in time zones far, far away from mine. So I want to make sure everybody's welcome and enjoying themselves. Like I said, I got gear to show you. No joke. I got new stuff for tonight. Make sure I have everything up to where it's supposed to be here. Okay. Try not to get too excited because it's not like super gear. It's gear. It's gear for me, and I'll tell you the story behind it because it was a long wait. Have some more people tuning in. If you are from anywhere in the world, which I'm sure you are by now, give a shout out in the chat. Make sure we know where you're at tonight, where you're watching from. We are on about 7 different places. Greg, what's going on from North Carolina? How are you? Got some exciting stuff going on tonight to share with you guys. I'm only here once a month, but we're going to start doing some different stuff. Again, I'm also, if in case you just like hanging out with me, I joined the Monday night chat show every single Monday night, 9 p.m. right here on Disc Jockey News. But I have some new stuff coming up. A lot of good stuff in the work. A lot of stuff that I've been working on forever is coming up. I have something in less than 2 weeks that I'm excited also to share with you guys that's going to, again, start a whole nother thing. So I'm excited about that. Couple more seconds here as we welcome people into the chat, and then we will get into a little bit of everything. Anybody else coming into the chat tonight? Like I said, this show does pretty well, in my opinion, for a show that's an hour long with one person talking, one camera angle. Well, 2 if you count the deck cam going on with if I'm doing any mixing. But technically 2 cameras, one show, and I think we do pretty good for that, for just me rambling about one specific software. So, anybody else in the chat? Last time before I jump in tonight and I start sharing. All right, 3, 2, 1, and we're going. So for those of you who don't know, this show is about music and mixing. I'm primarily a mix DJ, clubs, bars. I do both the casinos in the area. I'm about mixing, so my stuff that I do tends not to be about the wedding crowd. The gear I use is not necessarily from the wedding crowd, all these different things. So my take on things may not be yours, so just kind of like hang in there with that. Let's see if my voice is a little loud there. Kind of hang in there with that and kind of understand where I'm coming from with some of these. You can say it's not going to work for you, and I understand. Again, this is kind of like my world and the stuff that I do. Mikey Mike, what's going on? Welcome. How are you? So the first thing I want to talk about tonight is new gear. Not new as in no one's ever seen this before, but new for me. It arrived, what day was that? Yesterday? Or Monday? Yesterday. So it arrived yesterday. I ordered it at the beginning of March. And I think my order date was like March 3rd or something like that, and it arrived yesterday. So keep that in mind. It's nothing fancy, but it is for me, and it changes. Again, I've been waiting since the beginning of March for this. I got a new case to carry around the Rain 1. Now, for those of you who know, like, again, I don't do these big weddings, so I don't need this big giant thing. I don't need slide tops. I need to keep things simple and quick because I'm in and out of places. So I got a new case for the Rain 1, and I'm going to share it with you tonight, and we'll talk about it. If you have questions, we'll do that. We are going to do questions about virtual DJ tonight, so don't forget about that. If you have virtual DJ questions, we're definitely going to do those, but I kind of wanted to share a little bit of this. My show was always about everything to do with the mixed DJ, and I want to share this, so we're going to share now. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to take me out of the picture here. Boop. It is kind of like a briefcase style thing. Again, it is. I want to point this out. Let me bring me back in here for a second. I want to point out the fact that this is not a flight case. This is not a tour case. This is not even a highly protective case. It is a carry case. It weighs about 8 pounds, and that's what I wanted, something light to put the Rain in. So with that said, don't go, oh, it's not for me. Again, follow me on this, the stuff that I do. All right, so we can go to the next picture here. Whoops. This is what it looks like out of the box, kind of there. That's it opened up as is when it comes with the different, it has the pull-apart bottom foam, 2 layers of pull-apart bottom foam, so you can do a lot of different stuff with that. And the next one is the Rain setting in it, minus the foam, because I just kind of wanted to show the room there. I'll do a zoom in here. You can kind of see that with just some cords thrown in there. Those of you who don't know, in the back of mine, I use right angle everything to make stuff kind of neaten it up a little bit. So I have right angle for the mic, for the main out, for the USB, and for the power. And this is what it looks like in a case. So the case is about that size. And this is what it looks like after I did all the things that I want to do to it. So in this right now, this thing is ready to go. These little things down at the bottom here are just foam that I put in there for protection. They get taken out when it gets going. But the top comes all the way off, so the top can be flipped and put down, and you could set this on top if you want to get it higher. But basically, I pull up, take the top off, set this down on a table or whatever. This power cord is powering both the Rain and my laptop. The little yellow thing right next to the power cord there is my laptop power cord. So I'm plugging in one thing and powering both. Over here on the left is a wired mic that I keep in here. A new braided wired mic cord that I just got. I'm trying it out, so you have to ask me in a few weeks if I like it. I've only got to use it once. It's not bad. It just seems different than a regular mic cord. And down here in the bottom left-hand corner, because of those right angle XLRs in the back, they're short 1-footers. They come up here, so I just pop in my main out, my booth out into there, and I'm ready to go. So again, I am not a DJ that does weddings and stuff like that. I'm a DJ that does bars and clubs to where I'm setting on tables, different things like that. Everything is super simple, small booths. So I need to be able to come in and out quickly with my stuff. And this was my final conclusion to putting this together like this so that I can have something small and light, being able to get in and out quickly, plug one thing in. I can come in and plug one power cord in, and I plug one XLR for my main outs, one for the booth if I need a booth out. I set the laptop on a stand, plug the power in. My USB cord is plugged in there, so I pull the USB cord out, plug it in the laptop. It's simple. I come undone, undo 3 of those. I don't have to pack a lot. I just wrap the power cord in a circle there around the controller, put the top back on, click it in place, and I'm gone. And the cool thing about this for me, is that all of that weighs 38.5 pounds. So the controller, all the cords, the power cord for my laptop, the microphone cord, all of this, 38.5 pounds, in and out, done. And that's what I wanted. I've waited since the 1st of March for that. So that I was able to just be able to, like I said, I don't do weddings and stuff, so I'm setting up on tables. Like one of the casinos, I'm in a booth where nobody can see me because the booths raise up off the floor. So unless you're really tall, you're not even going to be able to see down in. But I still want to be able to set up and tear down quickly, in and out, and this was my solution. It is made by Magma. It is called the Carry Light XXL Plus is what it's called. Magma Carry Light XXL Plus case. And like I said, as everybody else is waiting for gear that has taken forever, I finally got something from March that arrived yesterday. So I kind of wanted to share that. If you have any questions about that, hit me up about that. You know, we can ask during the show like that. One of the things that is going to change with the show, that's all I'm going to talk about that. But again, if you want to talk more about it, have more questions, shout it out. But what we're going to do tonight that's different in the show is that some of other John's shows that we do on Disc Jockey News, like once a month on our Monday night live chat, we do questions from the audience. So it's kind of like you guys asking, kind of what we've been doing here for a long time. But what we've been doing is we put a video breaker so that John's son, when he edits it, he knows that this is where the question begins and this is where the question ends. So with tonight's show not only being a 1 hour, it can be cut down into little ones. So not only is this whole show going to be a 1 hour show, but it's also going to be short little clips that are also going to be put up on our shorts and different things like that. So you will see a new question break video go across there here in a bit. And that's basically going to break things up. And that's basically the other part of tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit more in a little bit about two things I have coming up. One later this month that I'm very excited about that you guys are going to do, but I definitely want to start taking some questions now. I'm going to show you in this first one how this question break goes, and I'm going to answer Media Heads TV question. So the break and the answer question in this for the rest of the night, just so you know, whether it's a question about virtual or whatever, it's going to go like this. So all right, so Media Heads TV asked, I wonder, is there a way to mod the Rain 1 line faders to INA faders? There is. They are removable. You take the plate off. I don't know anybody that has modded them myself, but I know that you can. So you'll have to check into that. I know why he's asking. He's asking because the up faders are much stiffer than the cross faders. So they are, and also keep in mind with the Rain 1, it has the curve control not only on the cross faders, but the up and down faders. So somebody who would use them a lot for mixing and scratching, it's kind of designed for that. So you can do that. So hope that answers your question, and we shall move on to the next one. And that's how our questions are going to go tonight. Whenever you see that coming in and out, that means we're going to cut a question. So we're taking anybody have any more questions here? Robin says they have the Carry Light Case XXL Plus 2. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, there's different size cases. There's the XL, the XXL, and the XXL Plus. This is the XXL Plus. Like I said, when I talked about that case, one of the things that I wanted you guys to know that it's not a flight case. It's not super sturdy. It's not a what do they call that? Not a flight case. It's a tour case. It's not a tour case. Tour cases are still heavy, not as heavy as flight cases, like heavy built. This is something that was not made to carry the Rain's weight around. It was made to carry like the 7000's weight, like something that weighs like 15 pounds, not this 25-pound Rain 1. So you feel the weight, stuff like that. Just to let you know before you ended up buying that and going, hey, it's cheap, it's not this, it's not that. It's not. It's something a little bit different. Somebody asked, I have a question here. Hold on here. We'll look at the change logs tonight. I think that's a good question there. So we're going to look at standard log first, and we'll go over there, and we'll do the question. All right, so tonight we had Louis Vargas Entertainment Incorporated ask, what's new in Virtual DJ B7082? Now, keep in mind that there is early releases and late releases for different things, what they call a standard log and an early log, and we're going to talk about both of those right now. So let me jump over to the left screen. And the latest build that came out for standard log is the 7059. This is the standard release. It's got fixes for the shader plugins, beat move options on M1 Mac. The M1 Mac processor, they're still adjusting things for that. I mean, it's the way it is. It's really new, and some of the things have to be customized for that, and that's what they've been working on. It's fixed using transitions with slideshows plugin on Mac. Again, Mac's M1 thing is doing that. And loop audio trigger option in the points of interest editor was edited and fixed a little bit there. In the early access, we'll go over to the early access, and that is the 7082. Is that the one you asked about? Yeah, the B7082. This is an early access. So if you have your computer to show standard access, you would have not gotten any of these. But if you have yours to download the early access, you would. Now, I leave the early access to my studio computer where I test these. So if I show virtual earlier tonight, these things are on the studio computer, but they're not on the computer I go out and DJ with. I wait until they hit standard release on that. And there are quite a few here in the 7082 release that was released on the 15th of this month. Improved auto-generate VDJ edits when linking videos to audio files. That means if you want to put a video on, you have an audio file, and then you have another video, and you want to put that video to the audio file. So every time you load the audio file, it's a video. You can do that, and it does it a little bit better. Improved smart video crossfade logic to start moving to the next song when it's almost reached, but audio crossfader centered. That has to do with the crossfader, the video, the crossfader, the audio working together in automatic, a smart mode. Tidal can show more than 50 songs, more than 50 liked playlists and albums. There was a limit on that before. Again, a lot of those streaming things are going to be changed and fixed up. They're restoring filter folder inside virtual folders from database backup, fixed lockup of DeX or browser when loading tracks from Beatport or Beat Source files. Again, some of that online streaming, they're working on that. I've never had any problems with Deezer and Virtual DJ's iDJ Pool. Both of those work really well. I told you before that the Beatport and Beat Source, they're still building their thing, in my opinion, and when it gets done, it's going to be freaking unbelievably good. Fixed browser, Go folder, Ask the DJ. That has to do with the automatic requests that go through virtual. They can go on their phone and type in a request and you get it in a folder. There's updates with that. Stem creator for producers to create their own pre-computed stems from the original stems. Fixed data file column on the Mac not showing correct date in previous updates, which is a part of that, again, the Mac. And slideshow transition dialog has now has tab to preview slideshow, follow along, and skip in specific images. So again, those are just some changes that come out. Like I said, one was on the standard access, and one is the early access. Early access is like a step past beta. So just so that you know, if you want these, those are kind of the way to do that. Hope that answered your question. All right, let me look at some questions here. Yes, I did. This one doesn't need to be a question on there. Yes, I did miss Virtual DJ Expo this year. There wasn't a lot for me, again, because I don't do the wedding stuff, so there really wasn't a lot for me. So I just didn't go, and kind of my direction on some of the stuff with the expo is changing a little bit, so I'm not sure where it's going to be. I can take this time here and tell you a little bit about the two things I told you that are coming up. I've talked a lot about, I have a book coming out, and possibly next year's expo, I will go to the expo and maybe do a seminar on creativity, because the book is about creativity. And I could possibly do a seminar on the creativity next year to help sell the book and stuff. But the book is working along. I'm getting ready to do the audio book on it. I've been working on the websites, the plugins, all the different things that have to do with marketing, T-shirts, all these things. That stuff's coming up. And the other thing that's coming up that I'm kind of excited about is that prior to me focusing 100% on DJing, I did a lot of other stuff in the creative world, and I talk about it in the book. And one of the things in the 90s and early 2000s, I was a vocal performer, and I put out 6 vocal albums and 6 DJ'd albums, and that means like studio stuff where I created 100% of the music myself in both of them and everything. And the 30th of this month is the 20th anniversary of an album that I released back in 2002 called In the Mix. And on the 30th of this month at 3 p.m., I am going to re-release the album on digital, because it's never been released in digital. When it came out, it was only released on CD. So that's one of the things that's coming up on Tuesday the 30th at 3 p.m. It's going to be out on Deezer, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, any place you can stream music, it's going to be on there. So keep an eye out for that. Like I said, I'll be doing a bunch of advertising. As I said, I've been working on a lot of stuff. But the 30th this month, my album that I put out 20 years ago called In the Mix is going to be coming out for all of you to listen to. And over the next year or so, I'm going to be putting out more of my old catalog and even some stuff that has never, ever been released. Because I did so many songs in my lifetime. I, like I said, I lived in that world so deep it wasn't even funny. So all of that's coming up, and that's why some of the other stuff's going on, just to let you know with there. So let's look back into questions. Back in there, what type of earbuds are you using? All right, so I'm going to do that one as a question. Okay, DJ Mikey Mike asks, what type of earbuds are you using? I use two different ones in the studio right now. You have to give me a second to find the name of them, because I've gotten into using earbuds now for both DJing and for here in the studio. So give me a second here. It'll take me a second to find it, because both of them I got through Spotify. And the ones I have in my ear are not from here. I never remember the name of them, so I always have to go somewhere else. I used Denon's had ones for years that I really liked. And I can basically talk about the ones that I use out right now. These ones, if I'm correct, these are like a cheap brand that I got off of eBay, if I'm correct on that. I'll take a look real quick here on eBay if I can find it. It's going to take me a while to find these things because eBay is not as easy to search as other things. But they didn't cost much. Right now, any kind of earbud that you buy, you can get dual driver earbuds like this very cheap. And I think I paid like $22 for these. But the ones that I use out DJing are these. And I'll move me over there. And I changed out, they are single pin as opposed to double pin. And I changed out, because it has the curve that goes over your ear, I changed it out to a straight one because when I DJ, I put them, instead of putting them over my ear, I let them hang so that I can take them out and talk to people. So they go in like regular earbuds. But that's the ones I'm using when I'm DJing. It's almost 100% of the time. That's what I use when I'm DJing. They have great sound. Again, a lot of places I'm DJing now aren't loud like clubs, so I'm doing the casinos 100% of the time, and I don't need stuff to be incredibly blocking like headphones. It does not need to be that capacity, the blocking sound out, but these work for me, and I really like them. They are Linsole, and I think the prices went up because I don't remember paying this much for them. I don't remember paying $50 for them. But like I said, they're simple. They're single pin as opposed to the double pin. The ones I have in my ears here are double pin. So again, the connector's how you do that. They're both dual driver, and this is a dual dynamic driver, which is a little different. I don't think it's as good as a dual driver, but that's what I use when I'm out DJing right there. That's pretty much it. All right. Sorry to dive it down that rabbit hole in that one. So we're moving here. More questions. All right, there's a good one here. There's a good one. All right. Louis Mota. I apologize for butchering names. I am horrible with names. He asked, hey, for some reason, Virtual DJ is not automatically updating. Any thoughts? I do have the option to update automatically. We can look into that because sometimes just checking and unchecking stuff helps with that. So we're going to go into here, left screen, and we're going to bring open the menu, and we're going to zoom. Woohoo! I'm going to go into options, and we are going to look for update. So here's where you would check the early access or check updates, internet. So you want yes or silent. Yes means that when you turn the program on, it will give you a little pop-up that says this can be updated. Do you want to update right now? If you have it on yes silent, means that it will not let you know that it's there. You will have to go in to, I believe it is interface or extensions, and automatically click a button to do that. And no means it's not going to automatically check. So yes means automatically check. Yes silent means check, but not give you the warning when you click turn on the program. And then early access, yes or no. And that's basically going to give you the chance of getting that early access update, the second one that I talked about in that other section, or no, you get the standard update. So the studio computer is set for the early update, and my DJ computer is set for the standard update. And that pretty much, hope that helps and gets you to where yours is updating. Yours just might either be set to no or yes silent, but when you set to yes without the silent, it is going to give you a little pop-up every time you turn on your computer and ask you if you would like to update at that time. It does give you the option to say no for later, but that's basically what you want to do. And I hope that helped you. Hope you guys are okay with these little breaks here, because like I said, I think these are going to be good little videos to set out for everybody else and people who maybe want to see and get them a chance to come into the show. And again, maybe if we can get Virtual to sponsor the show and maybe get you guys some free stuff, that again is one of my goals with this too here. So let me see, Media Heads, is there a way to activate an FX on my EQ when I'm using stems when it's at 100% and then turn it off when it's in the center? I'm going to read that again. Media Heads, you might be able to, might need to redefine that question so I can understand it. Is there a way to activate an effects on my mid EQ when I'm using the stems when it's at 100%, then turn off when it's in the center? Oh, so you mean you're turning the stem all the way and it activates there and turns off when you come back. There is, but the MIDI mapping on that would be, I'm gonna show you a little bit of MIDI. I'm not gonna do this one as a question to show because it's a little bit confusing, this one here, so I'm not gonna do this one as a question. But if we go into mapping, if you look at something like the volume, so we're gonna look at volume. I think volume's one that's gonna do that, because no. Because some of the mapping for increase and decrease gets a little long. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm trying to find one that has a long line. Is it the gain that has a long one? No. Some of them have a long line that you have to put in the MIDI mapping so that you would have stuff like +0 space +100. I think it's active filter. It would look something like this: select, toggle, echo. It wouldn't be toggle unless you had toggle pads like this or the rain. It would be just select, echo, followed by, see, because you can hear see the gain one right there has the 0.5. So all of that would have to be written into your mid, which is here. So EQ mid. This would have to have a long line of EQ mid, 50% off, something space 100%, active effect, something space, probably I think it's colon, then 50 off, stuff like that. So it is doable, but it is quite, you're going to have to sit. I could not quote it to you how to write it, but you would have to just write it like that. Because a lot of people do stuff like that to where they'll do it the other way, that if an effect is triggered, it doesn't pick up to a certain point of things and stuff like that. So you can do that. That's not one that we're going to cut into a question. How do you get Virtual DJ? You go to virtualdj.com, download it, and if you like it, you pay for it. And that's it. And you don't have to pay for it again like Serato. I paid for my virtual DJ over 12 years ago and never had to pay another cent. And I've been using it like a pro, since then. So that's how you get it. All right, Bert asked a question about scratch banks, and I don't know if I have scratch banks set up on, because right now I have the Newmark Mixtrack Pro Effects, and I don't know if I have scratch banks set up on it to trigger like I do on the Rain. So you have to give me a second on this. So we're going to take a look here. We're going to go left screen. Let me see if I trigger. We're going to look in here for scratch bank to pop up. So that's loops, cuts, sampler, shift. That's beat jumps. It's beat jumps, fader cuts. Those are predetermined ones. So I do not have scratch bank set up on this. But if I did, I would have a button that I would trigger on the over here. Because like I said, on the Rain, one of these is set up to trigger scratch bank. And what that would do then, it would come over here and it would kick up scratch bank, and I have samples set in there. So if that was up, and then I would press these, I have this, again, the way I write some of these is that I have this written. So we're going to go into edit and scratch bank. You can, let me zoom in here so you can see it. And again, this one I'm not going to turn into a question because it, again, gets very difficult. So scratch bank load to deck 1 by putting and play, it automatically starts it when I hit the button, as opposed to me hitting the button, which loads the sample, and then I have to hit play to do it. So in the way that I have it set up, I switch one button that switches it to this scratch bank, and then all I have to do is pick one of the samples, and it starts it automatically. So if I want to scratch...
1, 1, 2, 2, 3.
And to leave the scratch bank, all you have to do is hit shift and, if I'm correct, any of those, and it takes you back to the song you were playing. So if I had a song loaded right here, let me go to my YouTube songs, because I have stuff that I can actually play on YouTube. So if I had this playing and I wanted to switch to scratch bank, I have scratch bank here. All right, so pretend there's a song playing on the right deck too. And I have a song here. Let's say I'm looping this song. Let me go back here just to show the depths of these things. So it's there looping. And I switch to scratch bank. And I have my scratching going on. So now if I hit shift and any of these buttons, it will then load the song that was loaded and keep it going, if that makes sense. So we're going to go back up here. So let's say the right deck was playing. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to go shift that one, and it loads the song that was on there in motion. Does that make sense? So it's designed to where if you have something loaded, you can jump into the scratch bank, scratch, leave the scratch bank, and be exactly where you were in that song prior to you going to scratch bank. And like I said, the only difference is I have it set up on a quick button that to where it assigns those scratches that I've pre-assigned to those hotkey buttons and then activates them to play. Then I hit shift, and any button on there will kick the scratch bank off and start the song that was on there before. And that's all you do. And then you press the Q button, brings back the cues. And that one probably should have been maybe a question out there, because that's a very deep question. But I think there's a lot to that. I don't know if we're going to turn that one into a short, because that one, like I said, unless I'm able to kind of show me hitting that button, because like I said, I apparently do not have it set up on the Newmark, but it is on the Rain with one button, kicks it on, kicks it off, that sort of thing. So I hope that helped. Still looking for here more questions. Moving down here, stereo effects is what I want to activate with my stems. Again, you just have to write that into that line with that, and I hope that, like I said, that would take some sit for me at least. For other people, you might be able to go to the Virtual DJ forum, tell someone on there, start a new string, and tell them what you want, and there's probably somebody that can just write it for you right now, because some of those guys are insanely good at that kind of stuff. I can do it, but it takes me a few extra steps, because separating things with right deck, left deck, universal, going out master, there's little things like colons, semicolons, question marks, and different things like that, var commands that make it do different things, and I don't remember them all the time. So, hope that helps. Moving on down here, yo, my DJ peeps to the beat, yo. Thank you, DJ Dynablend. I love that. Thank you. Time to boil a jug of hot. Yes, it is sometimes when you drop into some of these things. I'm telling you that you dive down a rabbit hole, and every time I get a new controller, I have to go down that rabbit hole. And there's just so many depths to stuff. Like some of them, they might seem simple, but they save steps. Like there's one place I DJ at where I have to use their SRT 1000 SRT, and I can't run Virtual's effects post fader on that. So if I'm mixing and want an echo out, is this the deck cam on? So if I want to echo out and the song's playing, so do I have that? Yeah. So on the Rain, all I would have to do is go echo, bring down the volume. But on the SRT, I can't do that. It won't let me do Virtual stuff post fader. So for theirs, I have to trigger that and then hit stop. I have to hit pause to make that echo continue on, because if I hit that and pull it down, that echo goes away. So I have set up in the program that when I'm DJing there, I have the top row is 1 through 4 cue points, and 5 through 8 is effects, including my echo effects and stuff. So the whole night, half of my cue pads are effects when I'm there, so that I'm able to jump in and out of that really good. So I hope that answers your question there. A lot of these, again, I didn't cut out because I just didn't think they were going to fit well as a shortened show. That's another one I maybe could have explained a little bit here. Can you hook up a piano with Virtual DJ and other gear? Yes, Virtual I'll do that one as a question. All right. Greg Burt asks, can you hook up a piano with Virtual DJ and other gear? Yes, you can. Virtual allows you to bridge a lot of different things within it. It lets you tie them in completely seamless. If you have Ableton, you literally can connect Ableton to this, run Ableton as a channel through Virtual, let it run beats or whatever you're running over there, and then you can mix here, and you can even assign decks. So 3 and 4 deck can control channels on Ableton or whatever, and you can play from that and scratch over on Ableton. Now, you asked specifically about piano. You can, because it is a MIDI device, just like our controllers are MIDI devices. So you can go in and program a MIDI setup in Ableton for your piano to play certain things that goes through Virtual, and you can hook up your MIDI piano to Virtual and trigger buttons, keys on it to do anything you want it to do. Anything you have set up, you can set it up ahead of time to run chords, pianos, keys, effects, anything you want. You can have a harmonizer to when you're hitting your piano keys for chords, you can have those chords harmonized with something that's playing. If you have a harmonizing plugin or VST in your program, or you, again, the cool thing about Virtual is you can literally drag and drop any VST in here, as long as if you're running a 64-bit version of Virtual, the plug-in VST has to be a 64-bit VST, but you can drag it in there and use it. So if you don't like the Echo or whatever that Virtual has, you can go out and get a VST, or maybe you have one already on your Ableton or whatever you're using, put that in Virtual, and you can use that with all of the adjustments that that VST has. But you can absolutely hook up all kinds of stuff with Virtual at the same time, including a second controller, which I did a show a while back, a second controller to run channels 3 and 4. So if you have two channel controllers, you can run Virtual as if it was a 4-channel controller without skipping a beat. So I hope that helped. Thank you for that question. Appreciate that. That's a good question. I like that. All right, so I'm going to see what Matt here says. How do you backspin on the jog wheel, though there's a setting but not only found one in option setting at... I backspin by backspinning. I'm not sure what your question is there. So if I'm playing... and I want to backspin... That was an echo backspin, but I normally what I do with them is... and then bring the volume down. I mean, I don't do anything different than that. So if you have something more specific, Matt, about that, I might be able to answer that a little bit better. But I don't set anything to anything. It sets as is. So with the Rain, as it's spinning, I just grab the platter as it spins, the motorized platter, and spin it back, and that's it. We just had this long discussion about the Rain the other day about slip mats, and I did not realize that the slip mat that they put on the Rain is like the butter rugs. And those of you who know what a butter rug is, it's a really good, slippery, thin slip mat for turntables. And they made the one for the Rain 1 like that, with a sticky side and a slippery side. I didn't realize that. And I was wondering why one of mine was sticking really bad. It's because I had that thin slip mat upside down. So if you have one of those and you're having trouble, make sure your slip mats that come from Rain, the factory ones, have a sticky side, and it's not much different feeling wise, but man, does it make a difference on that. So hope that, helps you there. I think I'm going to turn this into a question. For whoever's editing this, I should probably let you know this may not be a right one to do that, but we're going to do it anyways. DJ Dynablend asks, does the SRT have the club style effect buttons like on the DJM900 mixer? It does not have paddles. And that's one of the things that a lot of people kind of am waiting for them to come out with is, oops, let me type in here if I can type. It doesn't have paddles like the newer ones is there being, but it does have, I'm trying to bring a picture up here so you can take a look at that. There we go. But it does have these buttons over here, and I think that's what you're asking about, is these right here. It does have those, what they call color effects. That's what the SRT has, and those are the ones that, the way it's set up on the SRT is that I can't MIDI map them because they are hardware controlled. Now, some of the stuff, like the Rev 7 that's out, allows you to both run them as hardware effects and trigger them as software effects. These do not. So I can't remap them and use them, and that's why I have trouble with Virtual, because I can't run my virtual ones. I could do an echo through there and it works perfect the same, but if I want to trigger my effects in any sort of form, you can't. But the SRT is very close to this kind of setup with those kind of buttons off to the side. It's a great controller. It also has the different choices on there, along with the on-off button for the effects and stuff like that. I'm in the way of that, so hold on here. The on-off effects and triggering them to which channel you're going to do or master, those are all on the SRT. So I hope that that helps and answers your question. I'm expecting them to come out with an SRT type thing with the center mixer look more like the Rev 7. the two of those, like a CDJ with like an S11 type center mixer, I think that's going to sell really well. But if you're wondering if the two match, they're pretty close. All right, we are back. See some questions here. MJ, I've been moving to a new laptop. What files do I copy and paste to keep all my controller settings? All right, that's a good one. We'll do that one, Eric. All right, this one's going to be a quick explanation to something that's much longer, but Eric Robson asked, if I'm moving to a new laptop, what files do I copy and paste to keep all of my controller settings from my new laptop from my old laptop with Virtual DJ? It's actually pretty simple. If you use an external hard drive, or if you have dual internal hard drives, like I run on my laptop, dual internals, you're going to have to copy a couple files. One, for that second drive, if that's where your music's at. So like on mine, C drive is where the program's at. D drive is where the music's at. So in the main file on D drive is a folder called Virtual DJ. You're going to want to put it in the new computer, same place where the music is. So if you have dual hard drives in this one, to make that match, you will have to have dual or separated. Like my backup computer is a single M.2 SSD, and I split it into a C and D drive so that I'm able to just drag and drop from my other computer that has two solid state drives. So you're going to take that file that's on the music drive and put it over there. And then, at least for Windows, it's a little different for Mac. At least on Windows, in your document folder, there is a file there that says Virtual DJ. And it is going to have everything from your database, plugins, settings, cue points, effects, everything. So you're going to take it from your old computer, and it's going to, like, again, it's different for Mac, so I can't answer where it's at Mac because I know they do stuff differently, but there's a folder in that has all of your stuff. The other Virtual DJ folder contains data information about the music songs that are on that drive. So that if you would take that hard drive and plug it into another person's computer, that drive has the information you need. But the other one is going to have information on all the plugins from your computer. This one is going to have all the information that's on that drive if you plug it into someone else's. And this one is going to have all the information of all the stuff that's on your computer. And you're going to put that in the same spot under Documents and Virtual DJ in the other, and then move your songs to the exact same spot. So for me, this whole example would be done like this. In C drive, I would take under Documents, Virtual DJ, I would take that folder as is and put it in the new computer, C drive, Documents, Virtual DJ. I would take all the songs that are in my D drive on the old computer, put it in the D drive on the new computer, and then on the D drive on the old computer, the Virtual DJ folder that's on the D drive, take it and put it on the D drive, and everything matches exactly. I know, again, it's going to be a little bit different for Mac, but it is that simple. And if you are changing drive letters, there are plugins on the Virtual DJ site that you go and look for to rename. So let's say I had a D drive and I want to make an E drive. I can rename in the program everything that has to be changed from a D drive to an E drive without having to go in and change everything there. It's an automated plugin for Virtual DJ that does a lot of that and lets you transfer the stuff very easily. So you can either do it manually, or you can do it via the little plugin. And Messiah Trinizay, I'm so bad about names, says for Mac it's the same Documents folder as well. And that's all you have to do is copy those over. Also within Virtual, I probably should show this with this thing. It's also pretty good too, is that I'm going to forget where it's at here in a second. So we're going to go back to Virtual. This all has to do with that same question. That down here under this, you can do database. Let me zoom into this one, give you a little zoom in here. And we'll go over here. And then we're going to move me out of the way. Whoops. Move me out of the way. And when you click on this, you're going to get database stuff here. So database, you're going to get remove all missing files. You can remove all files, create a database backup, which before you do that, I would say create a database backup. And if you need to restore it, you can restore one. So let's say you feel it's screwed up, but you had saved one, you can do the restore, and it does a lot of that for you. And I hope that helps with that. And if you have any more questions about that, I am a firm believer that Virtual DJ has a great owner's manual and a great whole community on the Virtual DJ forums to answer some of these questions if this is confusing or too fast or whatever, but I hope that helped. All right, we're getting close to the end of the night here. Let me see if I missed anything here. Greg Burhead says, have a quick way to organize your library. That one's going to be too long of a question. Everybody does it differently, and I know I do it way differently than everybody else because I don't do crates hardly at all. I just do string searches, so that I'm very different on that. Moving on down here. Love this show. Thank you, Bert. Appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate Mizai. I know Mezia. I'm so bad with names. Thank you for that information about the Mac. Appreciate that. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that, Aaron. But those of you who don't know, in the chat, some of these guys are saying thank you, and they appreciate the way that they're done and explained and stuff like that. I can't help it. I'm a nerd, and a lot of this stuff just kind of comes naturally to me. So I'm glad to be able to help this. And like I said, with the shorts that we're cutting out of this show tonight in the future to be put on the Disc Jockey News channel as shorts, I hope that it builds the audience to where maybe, like I said, that if we can get some sponsorship or something and maybe do this show more, or maybe at one of the expos, even if it's something like, Marquee show or something, has me come up and do a little talk about Virtual DJ. I'd be happy, to put this into some of those. I know it has to be careful, like with the Atlantic City Expo, because this is a commercial program. If I were to come, I really couldn't do a talk on Virtual unless Virtual paid for the spot, because they consider that a sales as opposed to an informational thing. But if they could maybe bypass that and let me come and talk about it, I would do a seminar there about that. But Virtual keeps growing. I've talked before, we're almost out of time, but I've talked before about how some of the companies are coming out with mobile versions of these programs, and I expect Virtual to come out with something, because we normally, by July, we are on the summer edition of the next year. So normally we would be on Virtual DJ 2023 Summer Edition. But we're still on Virtual DJ 2022 Summer Edition, which is not bad, but they're due for some upgrades, not because they need them, but because they just have a lot of stuff that they've built into this, and they just haven't released yet. And we just expect some stuff to be coming out soon here. Yeah, Aaron, absolutely. So we're about 5 to the top of the hour. I just want to take a couple minutes. Thank everybody for hanging this whole time. If you stayed the whole time, you're freaking awesome. Again, keep in mind that I'm going to do this every single month. The 30th of this month, keep a lookout for my album. Again, it's the 20th anniversary of my third album called In the Mix, and that is coming out on Spotify or any of that kind of stuff. Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, Apple Music, all of it. It's going to be on all of those. I'm going to try to make sure that it gets over on not SoundCloud. It'll probably be on SoundCloud because I have my own SoundCloud. But I'm going to try to get it also on Beatport and BeatSource if I can. Actually, because it's EDM, it'll probably be on Beatport first because it's like an EDM dance album. But I'm going to try to get it out to all of those. And I just want you guys to enjoy it. I'm kind of doing it just to celebrate. That was one of my favorite albums I ever made, and I just enjoyed it. And there's the main track on it, which would have been released as the single, because back in the days you would release a single before the album was released. I really love that song, and I think it was just done really well. And I just want to start sharing this. And like I said, all the stuff that's been sitting that I made from 25, 30 years ago, I'm going to start putting it out for fun. Just so that people can enjoy it. And that's kind of what I want to do, is celebrate all this work and this life that I've done. And as the book comes out, that takes on the creative side of all this stuff that I do, way beyond DJing, way beyond the stuff that I do for Disc Jockey News, the writing, the different art stuff that I do. If you follow me on any of my social medias, I post a lot of pictures that I take. Like I'm really into sunset pictures. I'm into all that kind of stuff. But I just want to start celebrating the art that I do and the creativeness and help other people to embrace that, because I grew up in an atmosphere of a small town that did not embrace a creative guy. I danced in a dance company. I taught lessons. I did TV commercials, and you were thought of as something weird because I'm not even going to get into that. But I want this book in this next journey, this next section of my life, to encourage people to not be afraid to be who they are. And that includes whether you're being a DJ, whether you're being a wedding host, a wedding entertainer, a person who writes songs in a studio. Whatever you do, I want you to feel that there's nothing wrong with that, because I grew up, like I said, in an atmosphere, if it wasn't for my family being very supportive of arts, because everybody in my family did arts of some sort. If it wasn't for them, the rest of the world I lived in was really nasty. And I just want to encourage people now that if you have that bug of creativity, it's never going to go away. So embrace it, live with it. Even if it's just for a couple of minutes a week where you doodle on a piece of paper, whatever makes you smile. And I want to encourage that. So until next time, first, thank you all for some incredible questions tonight. It was a great show, and I hope you liked the new format of putting those out so they can become short videos in the future. We're going to do more of those. If you have any more questions, feel free to hold on to them for the next show. Join me next Monday night on Disc Jockey News with the Monday Night Chat Show. I'll be on there. I don't know what our topic is, but you can join me on there. And follow me on all my social medias. Have now all switched to I Am MJ. So I do have a DJ Michael Joseph of YouTube, and a DJ Michael Joseph of Twitter, and a DJ Michael Joseph of Instagram, and a DJ Michael Joseph of all these things, all of them. It's DJ Michael Joseph. But I also now have put with the art side, which is going to be everything, is I Am MJ. So Facebook is I Am MJFB. Twitter is TW. Instagram is IG. TikTok is TT. So all of these have that. And I do have a Patreon that is up, but it is not filled out in motion, and that hopefully in the future I can create an opening dialogue with people in there and try to get like an inside line with stuff on that too. So I'm working on all this stuff. So believe it or not, I'm doing all of this. So I thank you guys for that. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other. God bless.